We are at Bournemouth University asking students questions about immigration and refugee status. So if someone arrives in Britain illegally, are they a refugee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, isn't that...
No.
Isn't anyone arriving in England from any country, whether legally
Yes.
or illegally, aren't they then a refugee?
Yes.
I can't say I know way too much on the matter, but I know obviously that there's been quite a few crises, and I think I think everyone should be welcome, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it should be made illegal to be a refugee.
If someone were to enter Britain illegally, does that make them a refugee?
Oh, well, okay. We don't really know the definition of refugee, so we can't entirely say that they are or they aren't. So,
yeah, because they've been forced out their country due to war, so they have come to us for safety, even if it is illegally.
Okay, cool.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, it sounds like you might know what you're talking about in terms of the legal aspect.
Partly, yes. I think so. Mostly, yes, probably.
Okay, so if someone enters, we are an island after all, we have an advantage there. So if you are arriving illegally, that doesn't necessarily make you a refugee, no?
No.
If someone arrives in Britain illegally, does that make them a refugee?
I would say so.
Entering Britain illegally, refugees, because the country's divided.
Yeah.
Okay, who should house the refugee if that's true, who should house them? Is it the job of the government?
The council.
The council?
Yeah, anyone willing to take them in.
Okay. Would you house an immigrant, for example?
Not right now at uni, obviously, but when once we're qualified, then yeah, go on then. If I've got spare room, no one's going to use it.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, if I had the facility to do so.
Who should pay for refugees in that respect? Just like you and I cost X amount per day to be clothed, housed, fed, etc.
I would say the government, but the government's...
No, but it's a fair answer though. The government, there's three answers, I think. Government's one.
I mean, realistically, the other thing here is, obviously, the government is one of the ones that would, but again, they get their money from us anyway, so in a roundabout way, we're paying for it.
Sure.
But then you think about the other kind of big places that money is stored in the UK is one in the monarchy, and two just in large businesses. Realistically, there should be some way that they should be kind of responsible for it, especially where you think about the monarchy. In theory, it's above Parliament, it's above the government. Realistically, with their wealth and kind of outreach, they should be able to do more about it.
Would you house an immigrant? If you had the facility, sorry. Obviously, you have to have the facility.
Yeah, no, being a student, I don't have anywhere. I've barely got enough room for myself. But yes, if I had the facilities to, then yes.
Yeah, same. People are people at the end of the day. We're social creatures. Why wouldn't you?
Would you house an immigrant?
If I had the option, I would.
So again, arriving illegally, classifying them as a refugee, who should fund that?
Oh, I mean, I think before we start housing refugees, we should sort out the homeless issue in England, and the government should be doing that. There's so many empty buildings in England that can be used, but the government just don't.
But who should fund it? So taxpayer?
Yeah.
Through taxation?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think
What do you think, Casey? Because the money's got to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think it should come from the people in the government, because they don't tax themselves and they get a ridiculous amount of money and the taxpayer doesn't. So I think they should maybe tax themselves and then use money from their massive wage to help everyone else, because they don't need it.
No, it's fair enough. Would you house an immigrant?
Absolutely. If I had space, I would.
And what about illegal immigrants? Who should pay for those? They arrive here illegally, who should pay for them?
Must be government as well, because I wouldn't know where else to put it.
Because it's an incredibly expensive operation.
The government has to expect, if they have a strong economy, they have to expect that people will try and get into that country. So, like, I work in a bar, right? I'm a student. I'm just trying to live my life, right? So I don't think that financial burden should be on me because I am giving money to the government for them to deal with things like that.
Through taxation, we should house an immigrant.
The government.
Typically, that would be done through taxation rather than their own money.
Yes.
Okay. Would you house a refugee?
Again, depends on my circumstances.
Once they're here, they need to be fed, clothed, watered, housed. Just like we cost money, who should pay for them?
I don't really know. I guess, people who want to help out.
Charities?
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe the government have a bit of money they can sort of give to these charities to help them out, or just families that want to take them in and help them out themselves.
So the most common answer would be charity, government, but where does the majority of the money come from to pay for anything ever? Taxation, right?
Yeah.
Amongst a populace. So would you be happy with housing people who arrived illegally under the possible definition that they may be refugees? Would you be okay with taxpayer money funding that?
Depends how much and like how it comes out and stuff, I guess. I don't really know. I don't really know much to say anything, if that makes sense.
Sure, but we're making students think.
Yeah.
So, for example, you and I, we have unless you're bodybuilding, you have 3 square meals a day, right? You have hot water, electric, clothes. So, one question I think is to ask, how much does it cost to be alive as an 18-year-old or 18 to death? How much does it cost per day? Is it £20 a day? Is it £50 a day? Is it £100 a day? Depends on, but basic bare minimum, it's getting students thinking about that. What are your thoughts on that, about taxation and who should pay for, if they were to be classified as refugees coming in illegally, who should pay? Should it be through taxation?
It's hard because obviously not everyone's wanting to help out those refugees, but then obviously most people pay tax, so not everyone's going to be happy with like giving a bit of their money to the refugees if they don't want to help.
Sure. Would you house an immigrant?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
If you had the facility, of course.
If I had the facilities, probably for a bit until they find a job and stuff. But that's only if I have the facilities. But right now I don't, so I can't really say because like we're a student and stuff. But if I was older, had a family, had a spare room and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah, I think I would, like, just until they get back on their feet, just to help them out.
Do you know who Gary Lineker is?
Sounds fun. Is that the guy from
Ex-England football player.
the Walker's Packet?
Yeah, and Chris as well. You know his political stance. He drones on and on and on about everything that we should be doing and how evil and immoral we are. And do you know his net worth?
No, I don't know.
Probably millions.
Yeah, something like that. And do you know how many illegal immigrants he houses?
No, I don't. How many?
0.
0. Oh.
But that's all he talks about.
Oh, well, that's weird.
You've been amazing, guys. Thank you so much. Based on that, who should pay for those refugees?
So I think in terms of like everyone pays tax, I think obviously when British people go to other countries, they're covered and you have insurance and stuff like that. So I think maybe coming out of taxes, we do pay a lot already, so it would probably make sense to come out of a fund like that, but also having a fund created by the government would be really beneficial and helpful.
Sure. Would you house an immigrant?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
It's absolutely vital we expose the far left in our institutions and continue our work on campus and across the UK and in defending both free speech and conservative values. So please help us by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you.